Number 10. U.S. Green Berets, 22/40. You are already a soldier. You have been in the Army long enough to know what you don't know, and you are walking into a pipeline that can remove you at any point over the next 2 years. Barrier to entry, 5 out of 10. You need to be a U.S. Army soldier, GT score of 110, airborne qualified, and in the right rank window. The door to apply lives inside the military. Civilians can enter through the 18X contract, but start from 0. This is a moderate barrier to entry. It eliminates most of the world, but not most of the Army. Pre-probation, 4 out of 10. Before SFAS begins, there's a 6-week Special Forces preparation course. You can fail here and never reach the real selection. It is a real filter, but it is only 6 weeks, and it is primarily a physical and land navigation screen. Selection, 6 out of 10. SFAS runs 24 days. Attrition sits between 50 and 75% depending on the class. You carry increasing weight through the Carolina Hills. The marches are timed and you are never told the time limit, never told the distance before you start, never told if you are passing. The instructors say nothing. This is intentional. The Green Berets need men who can operate without external validation, and this is how they find them. Post-selection, 7 out of 10. This is where Green Berets separate from where most people think they sit. SFAS is not the filter. It is the entry ticket to the filter. The Special Forces qualification course begins after SFAS and runs for 53 weeks. Language phase alone demands working proficiency in an assigned language, one you may have never studied, within a year. Fail language and you lose everything you've built. Most qualification, SIR, military freefall, and then Robin Sage, a 3-week unconventional warfare exercise running across 15 active North Carolina counties using 200 role-playing guerrillas and local civilians paid to act as foreign citizens. You are operating in real towns. You do not earn the Green Beret until Robin Sage ends. Between 23 and 50% of those who made SFAS still fail the Q course. Of 100 soldiers who volunteer, 23 earn the beret. Number 9. British SAS, 23 out of 40. Any branch of the British military can apply. 3 years of service minimum, maximum age 32. 2 attempts in a lifetime. You fail twice, the door closes permanently. Barrier to entry, 4 out of 10. The SAS draws from any UK military branch with 3 years of service. That is a relatively accessible entry point. Pre-probation, 3 out of 10. There is a briefing week before selection. A map test, fitness test, swimming test, designed to filter the unprepared. 1 week. Selection, 9 out of 10. This is where the SAS earns its reputation. The pass rate sits around 10%. In some years, the directing staff recommends none of the surviving candidates. No class that year. You start in the Brecon Beacons. 4 weeks, the Hills phase, where most people end. Bergen starts at 25 pounds, reaches 70 by test week. At no checkpoint does any DS officer say a word to you. The long drag is 40 miles over mountain, with a finish time only the course commander knows. Since 1984, 20 soldiers have died during SAS selection. 3 on a single day in July 2013. Mayor found sitting upright with his pack still on and a half-eaten chocolate bar in his hand. You survive the hills and face 6 weeks of jungle in Brunei or Belize, where sometimes half the survivors fail. Then 36 hours of resistance to interrogation, where the only permitted answer to anything outside your name, rank, number, and date of birth is, "I'm sorry, but I cannot answer that question." The fittest man on one SAS course failed at RTI. Post-selection, 7 out of 10. After badging, you are on 1 year of probation. The commanding officer throws the badge across the desk and says, "They're harder to keep than they are to get." 14 weeks of continuation training follows, where you can still be returned to your unit. Number 8. GROM, Poland, 24 out of 40. Barrier to entry, 5 out of 10. Polish citizen, under 30, security clearance. GROM is open to civilians. No prior military service required. You can walk in off the street. That openness is real, but the security clearance and age restriction are genuine filters. Pre-probation, 4 out of 10. Before formal selection, there is a 6-day field evaluation called the Truth Test. You carry a 20-kilogram rucksack everywhere for 6 days, including during the few hours you're permitted to sleep. Some candidates lose over 7 kilograms. Some never reach formal selection. It is a meaningful pre-filter, longer than SAS's briefing week, more physically exhausting, and genuinely eliminates candidates before the main event. Selection, 9 out of 10. The confirmed pass rate is 10%. You wake at 0500 every day. Orienteering, forced marches, continuous calisthenics, military rations. But at some point during the week, on a day and at a moment with no announcement, an instructor approaches you holding a taser. It is active. No day is safe. No moment is safe. At the end of the week, the surviving candidates fight active GROM operators in close combat, then answer questions while physically destroyed. Wrong answers end it. Post-selection, 6 out of 10. 3 training phases, green, blue, and black, covering navigation, combat diving, patrolling, firearms, live fire, and joint operations. You can be dropped at any phase. Over 75% of GROM operators are qualified combat medics. Number 7. Sayeret Matkal, Israel, 25 over 40. Barrier to entry, 6 out of 10. Israel has mandatory military service. Everyone serves. But Matkal adds an intelligence filter before any physical screening begins. You must pass Yom Sayeret, a full pre-screening day, to be invited to Gibush Matkal. Most candidates are removed here. And unlike units that only screen fitness, Matkal is explicitly selecting for cognitive capacity alongside physical ability. Pre-probation, 5 out of 10. Gibush Matkal is a 5-day selection camp where doctors and psychologists observe every candidate. No objectives are stated, no criteria announced. You are placed into situations and watched. The unit wants to see what you decide when no one has told you the right answer. This is a genuine pre-filter. 5 days of structured assessment before any formal training, and the intelligence component makes it distinct from purely physical pre-screens. Selection, 7 out of 10, estimated 70% attrition. The training pipeline after selection runs nearly 2 years. You must be capable of disappearing alone into hostile territory with no confirmed support, no guaranteed extraction, no stated timeline. The unit's existence was classified until 1980. You do not wear the insignia in public. The unit pin is carried in the shoe. Post-selection, 7 out of 10. Nearly 2 years of training. Small arms, martial arts, long-range solo navigation, language, cultural immersion, and you can be dropped at any stage. Matkal offered to handle the 1972 Munich hostage situation. West Germany refused. In 1976, they flew to Entebbe, Uganda without permission, killed 52 terrorists, and were back in Israeli airspace in under 90 minutes. Number 6. Shayetet 13, Israel, 26/40. Barrier to entry, 6 out of 10. IDF mandatory service applies, same starting point as Matkal. But Shayetet 13 requires you to commit to 4.5 years of service before you begin. Standard service is 3. That extra 1.5 years is the price of eligibility before the first test. Pre-probation, 5 out of 10. A 4-day gibush, physically and mentally exhausting tasks with no stated expectations, minimal rest, minimal food, doctors and psychologists watching everything. Fail it, and the unit is permanently closed to you. Comparable to Matkal's pre-screen and structure, but with a higher physical standard. Selection, 7 out of 10. Estimated 70% attrition across a 20-month pipeline, considered the hardest physical program in the entire IDF. Similar to Matkal in documented attrition rate, but the 20-month length and 4-phase structure push the difficulty higher. Post-selection, 8 out of 10. This is where Shayetet 13 separates from Matkal and climbs past it. The training has 4 distinct phases. 6 months of basic and advanced infantry, 3 months of preparation, including parachuting and demolitions, 4 weeks of combat diving in cold, dark water at operational depth, and then the dedicated phase, approximately a year. Most recruits drop during the dedicated phase. You can be removed at any of these phases. By the time you finish the 20-month pipeline, there is almost nothing you cannot do. Almost. Number 5. Spetsnaz Alpha/Vympel, Russia, 29/40. Barrier to entry, 8 out of 10. To apply, you must already be Spetsnaz. That means you have already survived a selection process with roughly 90% attrition, plus a minimum of 2 years of operational service. You are then required to write a formal petition explaining why you deserve to try again. The entry requirement is not fitness or rank. It is already being elite. An 8, the highest barrier to entry score on this list. Pre-probation, 5 out of 10. From your first day, before formal selection begins, daily 9-kilometer morning runs, then 65 to 70-kilometer forced marches, carrying 40 kilograms in freezing conditions with minimal water. This is not the selection. This is the ambient standard before it starts. People drop during this period without the selection ever formally beginning. Selection, 9 out of 10. Less than 10% pass from classes of 150 to 170 men. The defining test is a 12-minute hand-to-hand combat session against 3 active Alpha or Vympel operators in sequence. You are not expected to win. They are testing whether you keep attacking. Candidates who go defensive fail. Instructors beat candidates. Other candidates beat candidates. Post-selection, 7 out of 10. 2 months of basic counterterrorism training, followed by 3 to 4 years of advanced specialization. Vympel operators master 2 to 3 foreign languages and cross-train in piloting, medicine, armored vehicles, demolitions, and marksmanship. Vympel was designed for nuclear war. Infiltrate enemy nations before war is declared, destroy infrastructure from inside. Every Russian city with a nuclear plant has a permanent Vympel detachment. In 2002, Alpha and Vympel pumped gas into a Moscow theater. 40 terrorists died. 0 operators died. Number 4. 9 Para-SF India, 30/40. Barrier to entry, 6 out of 10. You must be serving in the Indian Army. You volunteer, complete the 3-week basic parachute course, 5 jumps including 1 at night, and then the real filter begins. Pre-probation, 8 out of 10. This is the filter that separates 9 Para-SF from everyone else on this list. All Para-SF candidates face a standard 90-day probation. 80% fail and return to their unit before any formal selection, before any training. Then, specifically for 9 Para-SF, there is a second, separate 180-day probation. 2 elimination gates totaling 270 days before the main selection begins. No other unit on this list has this structure. The second highest pre-probation score on the entire ranking. 90% quit by themselves. Selection, 9 out of 10. 90 to 95% attrition. Deaths have been reported during the process itself. The route march is 60 to 70 kilometers continuous with a minimum of 23 kilograms, one of the longest selection marches on Earth. During training, a 20-kilometer run every morning, a weekly 130-kilometer ruck with 65 kilograms, all training with live ammunition, combat diving, Halo and Hey-Ho, desert, jungle, and mountain warfare schools, foreign language training. Total pipeline, 3.5 years. Post-selection, 7 out of 10. After earning the Maroon Beret and Baladin badge, 1 full year of active operations in hostile zones is required before you are considered fully qualified. Baladin is Sanskrit for sacrifice combined with offering. They tell you what the word means before you earn the right to wear it. 9 Para's strength is pre-probation, which makes it the hardest unit on Earth to even reach selection. Number 3. DEVGRU/SEAL Team 6, USA, 30/40. You are already an operational Navy SEAL. You have done your 2 combat deployments. You have been in the teams for at least 5 years, probably closer to 10. Barrier to entry, 9 out of 10. To apply, you must have already survived BUD/S, SQT, and 2 full combat deployment cycles. In practice, 5 to 10 years of SEAL service before eligibility. Then, once per year, photos of eligible SEALs are posted on a wall at Dam Neck. Current operators mark each photo, X or check. If one person who knows you marks X, you are removed before a single physical test. The SEAL community is small. One bad interaction years ago can close this permanently. Tied with Delta for the highest barrier to entry score on this list. But DEVGRU separates from 9-para here. 9-para's 270-day pre-probation is a formal elimination structure. DEVGRU's pre-selection photo board is a social one. Both are lethal. Pre-probation, 5 out of 10. If your photo survives, you undergo 3 days of psychological testing and a board review where members examine your career, finances, personal relationships, and drinking history. Selection, 8 out of 10. Green Team runs 6 to 8 months with around 50% attrition. Nobody quits. These are already SEALs. Quitting is not in the mechanism. They are removed for safety violations and failures on kill house runs where live ammunition is used and fellow students serve as hostages without body armor. Post-selection, 8 out of 10. After Green Team, candidates are drafted to squadrons in NFL draft format. Each squadron picks one candidate at a time. You do not choose your squadron. The continued evaluation inside the squadron, the operational budget that enables constant high-stakes training, and the CIA pipeline that opens after mean the post-selection environment never stops testing you. In May 2011, DEVGRU entered a compound in Abbottabad. 38 minutes. Bin Laden killed. 0 U.S. combat fatalities. Number 2. Delta Force/CAG USA. 31/40. Barrier to entry, 9 out of 10. You must be in the U.S. Army. You must already serve in an elite unit, Rangers or Special Forces primarily. You have already survived one full elite selection pipeline before you can apply. Top secret clearance, minimum 22 years old, 2.5 years remaining. Classes run twice a year, roughly 120 candidates, mostly Rangers and Green Berets. Delta ties with DEVGRU at 9 on barrier to entry. Both require prior elite service, but Delta's requirement that you have already earned either a Ranger tab, a Green Beret, or a SEAL Trident before you can even apply is arguably the most exclusive starting gate in Western Special Operations. Pre-probation, 5 out of 10. Extensive psychological screening before the course begins, but no extended formal probation period. Selection, 9 out of 10. The design of Delta selection is psychological devastation delivered through silence. No screaming, no encouragement, no correction, no time limits stated for any event, no indication at any point of whether you are passing or failing. The instructors stand at checkpoints and say nothing. The selection is designed to convince you that you have already failed, because Delta needs operators who can function alone under conditions that tell them nothing. Most candidates who don't make it stop not because their body gives out, but because the silence tells them it's over and they believe it. The long walk, over 40 miles of steep terrain with a 45-pound ruck and a finish time only the course commander knows. Post-selection, 8 out of 10. The operator training course runs 6 months on live ammunition throughout. Kevin Holland's class. 120 started, 16 passed selection, 8 finished OTC. Half of everyone who survived selection was still eliminated during training. The kill house runs constantly. You enter a room, the hostage is a fellow operator with no body armor, you fire live rounds inches from his head, then position switch, and you are the hostage. Trust in Delta is built in that room. OTC also covers CIA-taught tradecraft and Secret Service-designed executive protection. Delta invented the word operator. The CIA's Special Activities Center recruits directly from it. The post-selection removal risk is high, long, and uses live ammunition throughout. Number 1. Marcos, India, 34 out of 40. You are on day 2 of the 3-day test. Of the people who were here on day 1, 80% are gone. Not from selection, not from Hell's Week, not from any formal training event. From a fitness and aptitude test that runs before all of it. 3 days, and 8 out of 10 people who wanted this are already gone. Barrier to entry, 7 out of 10. Must be serving Indian Navy, volunteer only. The initial 3-day fitness and aptitude test is itself an unannounced filter. 80% of applicants are eliminated before any formal process begins. The barrier to entry is not just administrative. It includes a physical gate most units don't have before their pre-selection stage. Pre-probation, 9 out of 10. The highest pre-probation score on this list. After the 3-day test, those who survive face Hell's Week. 5 weeks, not 5 days. of extreme physical exertion, sleep deprivation, and cold water immersion. This is still not the selection. This is the gate before the gate. 9 Para SF earned an 8 here for its 270-day dual probation structure. Marcos earns a 9 because its pre-selection elimination is not a probation period you endure. It is a sequence of gates that have already removed 80 to 95% of applicants before the formal selection pipeline even starts. The scale of pre-selection attrition is unmatched on this list. Selection, 10 out of 10. The only 10 on this entire ranking. Total attrition across the full Marcos pipeline is 96 to 98%. 2 out of every 100 volunteers earn the badge. No other unit on this list comes close to that number. Training covers Halo and HAHO insertion, combat diving in open and closed circuit, underwater demolitions, cold water and night operations, counterterrorism, anti-piracy, anti-hijacking, amphibious warfare, special reconnaissance, and explosive ordnance disposal. 7 to 8 months of specialist training after Hell's Week alone. The only unit on Earth where less than 2% of those who volunteer make it through. Post-selection, 8 out of 10. The specialist training pipeline continues long after the initial qualification. Multiple schools, multiple modules, removal possible at any stage. On November 26, 2008, Marcos entered the Taj Hotel and Nariman House while the attacks were still in progress. The shooting was ongoing when they went through the door. The enemies near India's coastal zones call them Dadiwala Faj, the bearded army, because Marcos operate in civilian disguise. The people trying to kill them gave them a civilian nickname. A Marcos candidate went on U.S. exchange, completed the SEAL qualification course alongside American candidates, and topped it. He went home. 4 filters: barrier to entry, probation, selection, post-selection, the unit that leads on every single one. 2 people out of 100 complete the journey. The motto is not famous outside India. It does not need to be. The few, the fearless.